Hi, welcome back everyone. It's Thursday, it's wet, it's not very nice. I'd probably put that against our week, to be honest. Tuesday night was probably one of the downest points of the season, so let's talk about Tuesday night, shall we? To be honest, I'm one of the lucky ones that didn't go to Pride Park on Tuesday night. For all those that did, would have been very disappointed with that performance. Luckily, or not so luckily, we got to see it on television and not have to travel down to watch it. But I think the first half wasn't too bad. We didn't have a bad performance in the first half. We weren't creating much, but we didn't really lack anything going forward. But the second half just completely showed our weakness as a team. I mean, Derby weren't very good at all. I mean, if that's their best side going forward, then they're going to struggle this season. And that just shows where we are, to be honest, as a team. But, you know, I'm still hopeful, still early doors. And we've got a game at the weekend against Sheffield Wednesday, so, you know, we could probably do something this weekend, but whether that happens or not remains to be seen. So, what about our situation then? A lot of people were, you know, very disappointed with the performance on Tuesday night, and to be honest, there was a lot of talk about, oh, I can't see where we're going, what we're going to do with this squad. To be honest, still very early doors, 4 games gone, but I would argue there are teams, you know, who've played 4 games who are in a worse position, and it does show from what's happened in recent games. Out of the teams that have potentially got worse problems than us, you could look at the 3 that are below us in the table currently. You've got Reading, you've got QPR, and you've got Stoke, ironically, who've just been relegated from the Premier League. I mean, take Reading for example. You've got Paul Clement. He's trying to, I wouldn't say he's trying to keep a side up, I'd say they're challenging for at least, well, you'd say most teams are challenging for playoffs, but you'd argue that how is he going to do that when you've got players such as John O'Shea and Paul McShane at the back? I mean, what do they bring to any side, let alone Reading, for God's sake? But, you know, this is nothing against Reading as a club or Reading fans, but can you really see your side pushing forward with those kind of players in your team? I mean, John O'Shea's just had a double relegation with Sunderland, and he's just walked into your side like he's a dog's bollocks. I don't know, potentially that ship's already sailed. I mean, if they don't get players in January, I think they may go down. And this is purely from speculation point of view. I'm no expert, as I've said before. I mean, if you look at QPR, for God's sake, that poor fan who flew all the way from Finland to come and see his team, and in 2 games they've shipped 10 goals in the Championship. I mean, you don't see that every week. I mean, you lose 7-1 at West Brom, and, you know, that's an outlier of a performance, but 3-0 at home to Bristol City, that spells trouble. And if that's not enough, you've got Steve McLaren as the manager. Steve McLaren is just, it's just a joke. How he ever become England managers is beyond me, to be honest. But QPR are dismal at the moment, and they are definitely going to go down. You can see that from the first 4 performances. So they're teams you can worry with. Stoke, however, have got a bigger problem. They've got a team that probably shouldn't have got relegated last season, with players that feel that they should be playing in the Premier League. Now, what happens with that is the way that they play every week is a bit backwards, to be honest. They think they should be playing somewhere else. So let's take what happened last night, for example. How Jack Butland, who's been strongly linked with other teams, but I can't say he's ever really been a player that deserved to play in the Premier League. Has he done anything in his career? Has it, you know, you take Jordan Pickford, the short career he's had he's eclipsed Jack Butland in 1 season. So yeah, Jack Butland's running off, or him and James McLean are having a bust up. does that show what's going on within the team at the moment? I mean, poor Gary Rowett's trying to make sure that he gets Stoke promoted back to Premier League, but early doors suggest that they're not really going to do anything this season because one, they haven't got the players, and two, doesn't seem like they've got the work ethic for it. So really, my argument is I'm not saying we're perfect. I mean, we could potentially get relegated, but at the end of the day, are we worse off than some of those teams? I'd have to argue that we're not. I think we've got a squad that can actually challenge this season. We've built over the summer, we've done smart business, we've brought in players that have potential rise in transfer fees if they play well. If you look at some of the players like Gwyn Edwards, for example, he's stepped up. I mean, they're all worried about their step up and everything, but he's one of those players that's stepped up this season. Do you really think that our team, on paper, nobody knows about, do you really think they look like one of those sides that's going to draw attention? It's going to have bad management, it's going to have bad press. I don't think we're going to be one of those teams. So I think it's just a question of when we start winning games, because the performances have been there. You'd argue that we haven't really got an outlet for goals this season, but I mean, there have been times when we haven't had that before, so, and we still survived. So I think give it more time and more patience, then we'll be fine this season. Right then, guys, what about this Saturday then? Are we going to be optimistic? Sheffield Wednesday had a good win last night against Millwall, 2-1. Former Town player Ryan Tunnicliffe scoring from Millwall. They've been on a good run, but looks like Sheffield Wednesday might have pipped into the win last night. To be honest, I haven't really been following Sheffield Wednesday this season, to be honest. And do we normally do well at Hillsborough? I don't think we do. I mean, the only smash and grab I can remember is when Andre de Sel scored the equaliser. So if we come away from Hillsborough with a point, it would be a good result, in my opinion. What about the team, though? There's been a lot of questions about the kind of formation that we're going to use going forward. I think we'd be probably better off with a 4-4-2, and I'd argue bringing Jordan Roberts into the squad as well, because when we played against Derby on Tuesday, he actually came on and put balls into the box, and actually he was giving their right back a bit of a going over when he came on. So if we can use him to our advantage, left footers, he was whipping the balls in the right areas. If we had two strikers on, say we had Caden Jackson and Ellis Harrison, or Freddie Sears up front, Ben Morris, those kind of players that are looking to score goals in a 6-yard area, as well as actually being in the box, you know, we might actually benefit from that. But it's about, we've got a lot of build-up play. We do well on the ball. I've not really seen or had any worries about us being on the ball, but it's what we do with it now. And I think coming up to the 5 to 10 game mark, we really want to start showing teams what we can do with the ball, as well as you know, showing what our aspirations are for the season. So yeah, personally, I'm expecting a bit of a reaction this weekend, and actually I'm hoping that we do get a result. I mean, it's stupid if I didn't hope that we got a result, but what I'm saying is that the players should be very reactive to this week's loss against Derby, because that should have been a real hit home about how easily you can be turned over in a championship. So fingers crossed we actually do get the result, but you know, it's a tough away game. I'm not expecting anything really against Sheffield Wednesday. Funny enough, I did against Derby, but to me, you know, Derby may struggle this season to even make the playoffs, whereas Sheffield Wednesday have always been like a concurrent side that always perform. So, especially on their turf. So, best of luck to all the Town fans that are travelling up this weekend. Paul Hurst is due to have his press conference in the next 40 minutes, so we may hear a bit more about who's travelling with the squad. Any news on any loan signings or anything like that? That's been a bit quiet. Just the Nyden was was linked with a move out this week, so whether we hear anything about that, that's another question. But yeah, fingers crossed. Some good news going into weekend, and hopefully 3 points. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram, use the details on the screen. And please don't forget to subscribe to any video content by going back onto my homepage and clicking subscribe. Many more videos to come. Come on, you Blues.